AWT slaying.
Salama family, Salama, how y'all doing today? This is your boy Yakoba with Minister Teotw and Sister E. Minister Teotw, say hi. Sister E, say hi.
Greetings, family.
What's up, y'all? What's the dealio? Y'all remember when we say that back in the day? I'm old.
That's old school, Sister E. So family, we're gonna have a little discussion tonight. I know some of you all don't want to have this discussion. That's fine. You can turn it off. Sometimes you gotta, put the pedal to the metal, put the gas to the fire. Because here's the thing. I know some of you all grew up in the limp-wristed, Eurocentric Christian doctrines and stuff like that. But we men, right? Sometimes men gonna talk like men.
Not man.
Right? And women. Excuse me, Sister E. Men and women.
Men and women.
My bad. So, if you don't like what we're gonna say today, that's fine. But here's the thing. What you gotta realize. You gotta realize something. Everybody has an opinion, right? When we're talking about Nephilim and angels and stuff, you're not gonna do no hit piece on that, right? You're not gonna do a hit piece on that. Why? Because everybody got their own opinions. Now, one thing I want to share before we get started is some scripture, because we should stick with the word of God before we do anything, right? All right, Proverbs 4, chapter 4, verse 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. What does that mean? If you have a bunch of knowledge and you don't have the wisdom to apply that knowledge, that's a problem. You need to understand the knowledge that you were given. So, for instance, I can talk about DNA, I can talk about haplogroups, right? I could talk at the surface level and make you think that I know what I'm talking about. But I don't. Why? Because I don't have understanding. See, some people, when they read, they don't read to have understanding. When some people look at Wikipedia, they don't go to the reference material, because I don't have a problem with Wikipedia, as you know, just so long as you go check out the references, which I do. So it's sort of like, you can beat me up all you want, but it's sort of like when people come to me and say, but there's no J. There's no J. Now, when we talking about Jesus and when we talk about Jehovah, there's no J, there's a Y. Do you not know when you make statements like that, that's a problem? Why is that a problem? Because it doesn't take into consideration the idea of translations and transliterations, which this discussion isn't about. My point is, you have to apply understanding to anything, right? So, as I said, I can make anything look right. I can make anything look good. I can make anything sound good. Like, for instance, did not our oppressor, our enslavers, take that same Bible that we use and use it against us? Did they not say, slaves, obey your master? Yes, the word says that, but it was out of context, right? Am I lying or am I telling the truth? Sister E and Minister Teotw, did they not take that Bible and try to use it against us? Yes or no?
Yeah, they did.
In 400 years.
What you said 400 years. Are you serious?
Well, let me know if I'm breaking up, but I said it worked for 400 years, right?
Yeah. Yep, it did.
So my point being is, just because you have some data, just because you have some knowledge, you need to get understanding. See, so like when I read stuff, I read to have understanding. Now, your boy, some of y'all, your boy, his name goes by the name of Ron Dalton, did a hit piece. Why? Because he feels he's the expert on DNA. He's the expert on haplogroups. Why? Because he's committed to a book that he wrote that's full of crap. He's committed to a book that has a lot of errors in it because he says what? He says, you know what? You need to come to me. You need to come to me because I'm a physician assistant. See, because I have more knowledge than you. I'm a physician assistant. See, I'm certified in being a physician assistant. But do you all know what a physician assistant is? Even regular medical doctors, which I have in my family, they only have introductory level courses in genetics. What do physician assistants do? Take your temperature, write you a prescription, send you to another expert. That don't mean you know anything about genetics. Minister, tell you, what profession should you be in order to be a genetics expert? Now, we don't consider ourselves a genetic expert. We just consider ourselves someone who spent time trying to understand. But Minister, tell you, what profession would you be in if you're going to be in genetics?
You would actually be a biochemist, okay? And you would want to have a master's or PhD to actually have understanding, because anything like a bachelor's is introductory level courses. Okay, once you get to master's and PhD, that's when you really start getting understanding. Why? Because you start going through the material, right? You go peer review journals and documentation. You collaborate with your colleagues. Okay, at that point, that's when you be considered an expert.
Up a little bit, Minister Tate.
Okay, well, I do have internet problems, so yeah, just keep reminding me. But yeah, not until you have a master's or PhD do you get to the level where, you know, you start benefiting from all the research and interaction with your colleagues. Okay, so, you know, this physician assistant claims to be an expert, but how does that qualify him? Did he put in that much effort as a biochemist does to have understanding? Okay, I mean, this is a guy who has narcissistic tendencies, and we're going to show you.
So just because I can take your temperature don't mean I can teach you about genetics. Now, just because I'm a computer programmer don't mean I can teach you about genetics. Now, I'd have to say some of the concepts there are similar, right? Because we deal with data, right? DNA has to deal with data. What data, right? It has to deal with the points on the chromosome, right? They map that genome. Okay, and they run it through a program so that they can look at the results and make a determination from the distances of those particular alleles. So it's like me coming to you, family, and I'm gonna tell you about DevOps, right? And you're gonna say, well, Minister, tell you what is DevOps? I could give you a high level understanding of DevOps, but does that mean you understand DevOps? Can I correctly explain that to you? And can you understand what DevOps is in a short amount of time without doing the research, without looking at the definitions, without looking at the papers that was written on how to implement DevOps?
And for clarity, that has to do with computer related positions.
Yeah, programming and infrastructure. Okay, so I'm making that case, right? That, okay, we don't claim to be genetics expert. We claim to be people who take our time to try to understand. All right, so now the big thing is going to be, well, Minister, tell you, why didn't y'all work this out? Why didn't y'all talk? You know, because I heard that Ron Dalton sent you all, an email and reached out to talk first. And the line that is a coward, he sent y'all email to talk this out. Well, let's look at that. But before we get started, I want to share this with you. Narcissistic personality disorder involves a pattern of self-centered, arrogant thinking and behavior, a lack of empathy and consideration for other people, and an excessive need for admiration. Others often describe people with NPD as cocky, manipulative, selfish, patronizing, and demanding. You want to see? Who's that way? Now, some of y'all might think you're Cobra that way, but I'm not. Okay? I just believe in truth, and I'm a fight for truth. That's how I am. So you have two guys out here who want to be pseudo experts. Ron Dalton, who wants to be a doctor, and the lion that is a coward. So they did their little show. And some of you all who not going to validate what they do, you're going to say, oh, they're correct. Oh, you know what? Teotw is doing all of this because they got a G haplogroup and they white boys. Now, if we're white boys, we're white boys. Cool. I don't have a problem with it. I am who I am. What did I tell you? I'm all about truth. Point being is, just because you don't have the intellectual capacity to understand haplogroups and how to use haplogroups is not my problem. And if you want to call me a white boy, you could call me a white boy.
Well, let me ask this right quick, Minister Yacoba. For you guys who follow Ron Dalton, let me know if he has ever showed you his DNA results. I'm just curious if he's shown it to you, because he teaches about DNA so much. The first thing I would assume is that he has shared his DNA results, because the brother doesn't look like someone that would actually have E1B1A. But I'm just saying, I mean, if a white boy can have it, he can. But I'm saying it's not common in America. So just let me know if he shared it, and what was the outcome of that. I'm just curious, but go ahead, Minister Cole.
So let's continue. Oh, go ahead, Steve, go ahead.
So whenever you're ready, I want to also talk about the history, but let's get started here. But I do want to talk about the history of how we ended up here, because I'm noticing. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sister. I would think we should start with that and get into the rest.
You said what? I'm sorry.
Start with that, and he agrees. And after you give the history, we'll get into the rest.
Okay, so family, y'all know me, and y'all know how I roll, and y'all know how we're right now at a point where a lot of us are trying to build in the community. You got Dante creating the Council of Jerusalem, and you remember at one time, Teotw and those guys really didn't interact with a lot of people, and now, outside of their, the community itself, as far as just overall the Hebrew community, it's now that everybody's just building and working together, and we're hitting a very good point in our community. Now, let's start from the beginning. Now, I know that, let's talk about your emails, because there are a set of, let's start with your emails, because I want to segue into, let me start with my point. So, Lion, I can't remember the dude's whole name. Let's talk about how this started. So they said that, they emailed us and contacted everybody first. That's not how it all began, family. If you have an ought against someone, the first thing you do is deal with it privately, right? I want to hear if I'm right, hit one. If I'm right, hit one. If you got an ought or an issue, you deal with it privately. Do y'all see ones yet? Well, while I'm waiting for the ones, that's the correct way to handle things. That's not how it started. Teotw and those guys the brothers had not been dealing with the lion cowardly guy. I can't ever remember his name. They wasn't even arguing with this dude. How it started was this dude called the lion, whatever, decided to go in someone else's live and bash Teotw. Now, out of this guy's mouth, he said, I have a lot of respect for these brothers. But instead of reaching out to them and emailing them, because all of us know if we email Teotw and the brothers, they will get back with us. The guy never did that. He went and publicly bashed the brothers, telling them how they're in error, how they're doing things in error. That was the wrong way to handle it. The first thing that guy should have done was email Teotw and say, hey, I have a discrepancy against something that you're teaching, and let's talk about it because I want to show you where there's a problem. If the situation started out like that, we would not have been, we wouldn't be here. But because this guy, I don't know where he came from, decided to step out here and start a fight. Now, pay attention, family. People like to start fights because they're trying to build platforms. And nobody cares about platforms because at the end of the day, we're doing the will of the Most High God. But there's a way of handling things, and it was out of order from the beginning. So guess what? When you attack someone, if wrong, right, or indifferent, you're going to already have your guard up. And I'm not going to want to hear anything no one is saying because you came at me wrong, regardless. And because you came at me wrong, guess what? I'm done. We ain't got nothing else to talk about. I don't want to hear you anymore because that was very disrespectful. So somebody needs to check this young brother and how he did it. And my question is, who pushed him to do this? This dude just came out of nowhere. Now, that's one problem. Now, the second problem is the emails, which the brothers are going to show you. The emails are very disrespectful. It is not come and let's talk. Let us come together and reason. It was y'all wrong, we right. Take your stuff down. We don't want to have anything else to do. We don't want y'all teaching anymore. If you come at a grown man like you gonna do what I say do, guess what? That grown man gonna push back because we're talking about men right now. So that's off the bat. When y'all see the emails, y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, the other part of the story that Ron Dalton and the rest of them not telling y'all, they have been calling me for the past month, asking me, tell the brothers that they wrong. Tell the brothers that they wrong. Tell them they need to take that down. You know what I told Ron Dalton and them? I said, let's have a private conversation. Because right now we're at a very pinnacle point in our community where we're starting to work and build and fight against the era that's coming from the UA community. So before we do this, let's all come together and reason. You know what they told me? They said they'll get back with me. Then Ron Dalton has the audacity to say, well, I don't want to talk to none of them until I see them. What about lying cowardly guy? We ain't seen him yet. Ain't seen his face. Why is it Ron Dalton has created rules to say, I want to see them, but you ain't seen the lion guy? He ain't set the ground rules for him. But he want to set these ground rules that you just like, if you want to talk, we can talk. And I had already told Ron Dalton, I said, I understand your point, Ron. I understand you say you're the DNA expert. You was in this a long time ago back with Pastor Kelly and them. And I did have respect for him. And I said, I have respect for you. I said, so what I want you to do is let's come together. I even offered family to have this on a private not live, but a private conversation on StreamYard or either on Zoom. And let's come together and let's talk. Because Ron wants things Ron's way. Guess what happened? He said, I want it this way, no other way. Now go back to the video of Sakari, and you're going to see what I'm talking about because he did Sakari and them the exact same way. Now, y'all
we're going to show that.
Y'all know I'm not 100% for the camps. But even if Sakari calls out that y'all did this wrong, come on now. And that's how this is the behavior we're talking about, family. That's why I'm telling y'all, be careful with what y'all say because you don't know the whole story. Because Ron is off the top clout chasing. Now, if I say, and Sean, I see your comment, you can support Ron, but yet and still, look at the evidence. We said, let's come together and reason. These guys did not want to reason. They wanted to attack. Because what is his motive? That's my question. And even Sakari said, what's your motive? That's the whole question.
Okay, you finished, Sister E?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So here's the thing, family. I'm not going to show you all of the emails. Why? Because there was some back and forth. I'm going to show you the parts that ticked me off. I wanted to say something else. I'm going to show you why when they supposedly tried to reach out, I said, nah, no thanks, bro. I'm going to tell you why.
And let me make this clear why he's pulling this. Nobody is trying to tear the community apart. We're about building. But my thing is, Are we building to work together, or are we building for someone to control?
Well, let's talk about that right quick, Sister E. Hasn't it not been the effort? Is me, you, Dante have been building with the community, right? We even built the Council of the New Jerusalem, where we building with other Israelites. Why you think the devil's stepping in now to cause confusion? Because we trying to build. Now you got a devil coming in here trying to cause confusion.
And also, he was invited to that council. He rejected it. Okay, Dante wanted to have a build with him. He rejected Dante.
You breaking up. You're breaking up, Minister Teotw.
Yeah, he breaking up. But Dante did. Dante reached out numerous times and said, hey, let's have a bill. Let's have a bill. Because we're all working together. You got Pastor Kelly. You got myself. You got Teotw brothers. You got Dante. You got Benaiah Israel. You got Ron Shields. You got everybody coming to the table and saying, y'all, let's build together for the betterment of the community. That's the whole goal. That's the whole goal. But while we're in the midst of doing this, instead of Ron Shields coming correctly, not Ron Shields, but Ron Dalton. Y'all forgive me if I'm saying Shields, I mean Dalton. If Ron Dalton is coming and watching this, and instead of saying, let me reach out to these brothers, let me talk to them. And I even told Ron Dalton, that was the initial conversation. Did I not tell y'all this? I have no problems with you, Ron. I like what you've done. But my problem is this: we cannot attack each other. We got to talk amongst each other.
So about the email, and remember, look, if you want to see the whole email, they'll show it to you, I'm sure. But here's what ticked me off about it, right? Why I say, look, bro, y'all go do y'all thing. He said, I don't know if you were tired or just overlooked these fine details, but I just wanted to let you know that you have errors in your videos that you teach on DNA. Not listing any of the errors, but I don't know if you were tired or you were dumb as, you know what I'm saying? But let me continue, because that's how I took it. I don't know if you were tired, but you dumb as a... So anyway, let's continue. Is it possible to maybe ask me if you want to teach certain things on DNA just to get my opinion on it? Is it possible that I come and get permission from you? Nigga, please. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Calm down.
I'm sorry.
Just like...
Is it possible to maybe ask me if you want to teach certain things on DNA just to get my opinion on it? Benaiah Israel and others have asked me questions on DNA haplogroups, and I gladly tell him what I know. I will likely be posting a video on channel soon to address some false teaching Israelites, he's including us in that, have been teaching on DNA. And also the problems with get match. Now he got a problem with get match. And the whole South Africa is where Israel was in the Old Testament doctrine. Our people need truth, not lies. So now he's calling me a liar. Oh, by the way, people in Africa are also commenting on the inconsistencies of Israelite YouTube channels teaching on DNA. Where is the true biblical location of ancient biblical nations? Okay. I want to ask you guys out there. I'm not talking to the women right now. I want to ask you guys, which one of y'all want to break bread with somebody who wrote you a letter like this? I just want to ask. Which one of you guys want? Give me a one if you want to break bread with these guys. Oh. Your errors, these fine details you overlooked. Maybe you should get permission from me first. I'm just asking. You want to build with that? Let's continue. So this is the rest of the email. Also, I don't know. Also, I don't mind talking to people on YouTube, but I don't like to be interviewed or have discussions with people that I don't know personally that use avatars instead of showing their face. Dante reached out to me and I told him that the only way I would consider being interviewed on his YouTube channel is if he agreed to show his face instead of a fist avatar. So in other words, Dante, if you're going to interview with me, you need to show your face. You know what I want to say. I'm trying to be cool. You know what I want to say. And please, I'm just asking. Ain't nobody weak around here, bruh. I'm just saying, look, there's a way to approach people. There's a way to prove. So he put this condition, right? He put this condition. All right. So he put that condition, but yet, who's he interviewing here? Oh, it's the lion that devoured a coward. Oh, I don't see his face. I see an avatar. I'm just asking, is that hypocrisy or not? I'm just asking, do you want to build with somebody like this? I just want to know. If you do, that's cool with you, bro. We ain't the same. We ain't the same. See, like I say, look, I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. But I don't play with brothers like this. Y'all don't know me. I'm a work in progress. Okay? So don't go come say Yacoba all up in the heat and all this stuff. I am who I am. I'm a work in progress. Now, one thing you know about Yacoba's all about truth. I'm all about truth. So if the truth goes against me, then I'll teach it. If the truth is for me, then I'll teach it. I don't care. You know, the only thing I care about is if my name is written in the Lamb's book of life. You all don't shake me. I'm not talking to my supporters. I'm talking about the ones who don't like us. Y'all don't shake me, bruh. As Sister Nephi would say. I don't know why that's in my head right now, but I feel it. Any comments, panel?
And again, family, I want to reiterate to the family, because I don't want people to think that we are not about division. We're about coming together. But when you got someone kicking against the pricks with his own personal motives, because again, I have been talking to Ron back and forth for a good little minute. Like I said, and I never disrespected the brother. I showed him all the respect. And that's my point. Because they know me. The Teotw brothers know me. They know they like, Sister A, you always trying to, but that's just how I am. I'm a woman. I'm a little bit different. We're made different. But because I wanted to see people come together, and that was the goal. I would have loved to see Ron Dalton and Yacoba come together and talk. That would have been amazing. But when you put rules out there because whatever reason you feel like I'm in control and that's it, why would that even be a problem? Why would that even be a problem if you're trying to talk about truth? And then you have a double standard because you got Lion, the cowardly, whoever, again, behind the avatar that shows that there's something behind that. So when he kept saying, I'm reaching out to him, and they're not, yes, they was reaching out. They called me numerous times. And I always ended it, y'all, let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. And when you're constantly telling people, let's talk, but they have other motives, they're not going to hear you. So again, family, we're not trying to divide by no means. But we can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do.
So let's get into this lion that is a coward. Let's get into that joker, right? He's an expert now. He said, the lion that is a coward, if you didn't notice these clear errors, how can you call yourself a researcher? This is why I said you should avoid DNA talks for the sake, he can't even spell sake, but for the sack, right? He wants to teach us, but he can't spell, for the sake of the Israelite community, because you're hurting us more than helping us. Nigga, please. I'm sorry, family. I'm sorry. Yacoba got in the flesh a little bit. I'm sorry, family. Let me continue. Then the lion that is a coward says, I studied DNA extensively. Trust me, I really do know what I'm talking about. That's why I said we could talk privately and learn. But I guess you don't want to. Shalom. But for the sack again, he can't spell, but he want to teach. But for the sack again, he can't spell. But for the sake of Israel, I think it's best if you don't talk about DNA. Let's leave that to the professionals and people interested in the topic. You gotta trust me on this one, fam. Okay, so now he's the professional. Just like Ron Dalton, you need to come to me for approval. This guy, you need to come to me for approval because I'm the expert. What do we call narcissism? Minister Teotw, what is a narcissist? Do these guys not fit the definition of a narcissist?
Self-absorbed. He comes first over everyone else. That's what he is. arrogant, prideful. No one else's opinion matters, right? Their opinion is the only one that matter. Arrogant, right? That's who they are. Okay, and you come to a man like that, you're gonna get pushed down. That's what happened. These guys, they don't have no respect. They didn't come with respect.
And they wouldn't want to know me in the real world back in the day before I got saved. Sister E will tell you, y'all don't know. Y'all just don't know. Y'all just don't know.
So
I'm still a work in progress, though. I'm a lot better than I was.
Yeah,
So
he's
here's
doing
the
better,
thing.
family. He's doing good.
So look, when we teach on DNA, these guys, we present to you guys documents. We present to you guys article professional.
You're breaking up, Minister Teotw. You're breaking
some
up.
Packet laws. Okay. Well,
Okay, go ahead. I hear you better now.
okay. All right. So we have professional documents that we share that raise issues, and Minister Yacoba will show you that, some of these documents that raise questions about haplogroup, and these guys never address it, right? And if in this line that is a coward, in our debate with him on Sister E's show, he didn't address any of the points I made. The guy went into talking about tribal haplogroups and why he thinks is valid. I mean, that's not science. That's not evidence. That's your opinion. He spent the whole time talking about tribes and how they relate to other tribes and why that means that, he knows about haplogroups, and not once address anything like chromosomes, alleles, genes, genetics, right? Points on the chromosome, matches. He never once addressed any of that, but yet he's an expert. Ron Dalton doesn't either. I guarantee you, he doesn't talk about matches on the chromosome, right? Alleles, how many chromosomes exist in the human body, right? There's pairs, 23 chromosomal pairs. 20 of those are used for autosomal match. The other 2 are X and Y, okay? They don't tell you about that. But if you go by their theory, then haplogroups cannot contradict autosomal. They don't talk about that. You're going to talk about, I can't explain that. Why? Ramses III was E1B1A, but he must have been an Israelite. That's some dumb stuff. That's not science. Ramses must be an Israelite. That's their only answer for why Ramses is E1B1A. And people want to listen to these guys. That's not rightly dividing anything. That's not line upon line anything. That's not scientific, right? They're not bringing any receipts here.
Remember, family, what happened when Dante was going up against Nephi, and Dante brought the receipts about Judah, and the Judah, right? Had the receipts, had the documents, the maps, everything. Remember that, family? And remember how Nephi just ignored all that? That's what they do. They do just like the UA. You say, well, dude, look, based upon the way y'all teaching these things about haplogroups and that you identifying a group of people by haplogroup, you have a problem. What is that problem? What do you do with the people who are white? 97%, and we're going to look at that. 97.5% European, but yet your haplogroup is E1B1A. How do you fix that? Oh, well, he had, let me guess, Israelite in his ancestry. Okay, yes, he does, but does that make him Israel? Well, no, because he's 97.5% European. So then how do you say you can use E1B1A as a means to identify people? You can't. As Minister Teotw said, the haplogroup should be aligning with what we see in the autosomals, because the autosomals is dealing with 23 pairs matching. But I know this is over some of y'all heads. Some of y'all don't want to get into the dirt. Some of y'all don't want to go and study. Some of y'all one of those who got the cheat sheets, yeah, right? Y'all like to go to class and get the cheat sheets and think you know stuff, but you don't want to get in there and study and have understanding. But look, I'm going to read something from one of our listeners, and I believe she in here, the Most High Servant Daughter. I'm going to read what you posted on the thing, because Yacoba and I'm Yacoba, I mean Minister Teotw. Minister Teotw and I was saying the same thing. We were discussing the same thing that you said on your post. right? So I'm gonna read that.
I got confused. I was like, that sounds like you. Oh, well, thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Sister E.
Don't mess with you.
All right. So you know I'm talking to myself, right, Sister E?
Yep,
All
you
right.
talk to yourself now.
And you gotta say, and I say,
So this is for, this was on the video on one of the posts. She said, "Peace and blessing, my brother. I watched a small portion of what Ron put out, and I just couldn't stomach more than 10 to 20 minutes of it. This sent me out on a search to find out who is this character, the lion that devoured, a coward. And I found that he, for one, only have 3 videos on his channel. And for 2, I feel that he is actually not one of us, but he was sent to infiltrate our camp family and start division, strife, and chaos among us. Also, I saw a comment that Ron made concerning not wanting to do an interview with Dante unless he showed his face. But I saw on the Lion channel that Ron did a video with him, but he never showed his face in their interview. Something doesn't feel right to me in my spirit concerning this relationship between Ron and this young man. I feel that this young man is not Jacob by blood at all and was sent to infiltrate the camp and family. Now, this is a strong gut feeling that my husband and myself is feeling concerning this young man. His voice does not at all sound like an Israelite. I'm just saying, nor his mannerisms is not as one of us. Like I said, it's a strong gut feeling. Well, you know what? Minister Teotw and I had that same gut feeling. Didn't we, Minister Teotw?
absolutely, absolutely. This kid came out of nowhere, and he made alliances with Ron Dalton. And I mean, I'm not sure. He just really appeared out of nowhere. So I suspect he's here to sow discord.
Yep, and if you look at the beginning of this, let's start at the very beginning, family. How did it start? Who threw the first punch and how was the punch thrown? Instead of saying, we working together and we building together, let me reach out to Teo, because he always says, I have respect for Teo. But if I have respect for someone, I'm going to pull them to the side and say, hey, I don't agree with what you're saying. I got something I need to show you. But if you're trying to create discord, you're going to go on somebody's live who's already talking against Teo and then put a comment in the bottom of it instead of approaching them and talking to them. So how was the first punch thrown, y'all? It was by him. And it was done inappropriately.
Right. And most of you who have reached out to us, even in comments, respond back. We respond. Well, okay, it'll adjust a little bit, but I'm just saying that we respond back to people who reach out to us most of the time. Y'all know that, right? So we don't do like Ron Dalton, and we're not asking you to pay us any money to have a conversation or to watch a video.
Now, I want to respond to this because I think he's talking to us with this one. The Mushabians, Natufians, or E1B1A, that's lazy scholarship to say Egyptians are E1B1A. We never said Egyptians were E1B1A. We said Ramses was E1B1A. Therefore, if you're going to use E1B1A as a means to identify people as Israelites, then you must identify Ramses as an Israelite. Duh. I'm just saying. Anyway, let me continue. So you can see what's been happening behind the scenes. Okay. You can see that these guys got ego problems. You can see from the emails they sent us that they are narcissistic personalities. Okay. Now, shall I go to prove even more that these guys have an agenda? Because we're not the only ones who's saying this. It's not just, see, y'all want to act like this is just a Teo thing. No, it's not just a Teo thing. And no, we don't care about haplogroup G. We don't give a, you know what. So let me continue. So y'all who follow us, y'all know us by now. Y'all know us by now. But see, I'm going to tell you, y'all got to be discerning. Y'all need to be discerning about certain people. Okay? Y'all got to get that spiritual discernment up. Okay? Now, here's the thing. If you like what Ron Dalton teach, fine. Go listen to him. I'm just going to tell you, you're probably not going to want to come listen to us. I'm going to put it that way. Okay? If you love what Ron Dalton teach, you go eat off his plate. That's fine. I don't care. But guess what? We take our time with what we deliver to you. Like I told you before, we prepare. We set the menus. We get the ingredients. We chop it up. We look at how the best way to prepare those dishes, what the temperature of the fire should be. We don't just throw it out there on the table and say, here, eat. That's what they do. Throw it on the table. Here, eat. But let me share this with you. Y'all think we tripping? Okay. We're not the only ones tripping.
He's not calling out Israelites. He's calling out non-Israelites, and that's good. I actually bigged up the brother and was like, look, we shouldn't really be baiting Israelites right now anyway. We should be coming against the Christian community, the Kemetic community, so on and so forth. So I bigged up him because he's calling out vocab and polite and sarnetic. Cool. He's not trying to call out Israelites. So he responds back, some prideful, just talking crazy, right? He's like, we can debate who Esau is. Esau is not the white race. I'll destroy that doctrine. And if I do, all your followers will follow me. So the first initial comment of me speaking with him on Instagram, he's looking for followers. He's looking for money. We're going to prove that as well. And it's all about pride.
It's totally puffed up in pride.
Yeah.
All of your followers are going to follow me. Well, just the level of pride in that statement. One, let's say what you are saying is the truth. Let's say you taught us the truth. What would make you think all our followers are going to follow you? If you're coming with the truth, why won't we just listen to what you're saying and follow? Can that happen? Or is it got to be you just destroy or vice versa? Can you possibly be wrong and us be right and you humble down to that? No, you're coming with total and utter pride. That's it. You're a dude that's been out for what, a year? Nobody knew who you were for a year, until a year ago, right? You come out with a DVD, all the camp supports you on that DVD. They go to the premieres of that DVD, right? And then you immediately turn around and try to attack the camp, right? Madness, foolishness, treachery, pride. And it's clear you just coming into this community trying to puff yourself up to get a top spot. And all of us that got top spots in this community, nigga, we earned that. Period. Go ahead, though.
So he texts back, he's saying he already knew. See, this is how we know, this is how I know he ran from us, because he already knew that it was about Esau. I didn't even say that on the comment board. I just said he's not calling us out, he's calling out non-Israelites. That's good. He responds back saying Esau's not the white man because he know we were supposed to have that gig and he flaked on it, right? So I text something back, I forget. I'm like, bro, you're just an old bottle trying to get vainglory. You're talking about whose followers are going to follow you. You debated guys that we debated decades ago. This is what you're calling out, guys that we debated decades ago. This is what I tells him. So he sent he made another video saying that how he was going to debunk it, and if you want to debate. So I said, join my live stream. I'm live every day, damn near. Join my live stream, Ron Dalton. Join my live stream, Ron Dalton. Sakari Dallas was right there in the chat. He's a witness. I said, join my live stream. I'm live every day. We can talk about who Esau is. He responds back and says, no, let's do it in person in a medium distance between Atlanta and Detroit. And we can get a building and do it in person, and we can charge people.
You're skipping a step. You're skipping a step. You're skipping a step.
What am I?
Deacon tells him join his live. He of course don't want to join the live. He says let's do it in person. Deacon says okay, let's do it at our school in Atlanta. And when Deacon called me and told me okay, he want to do it in person. All right, well we have facilities in Atlanta. We know number one is COVID-19. Getting facilities anywhere is difficult right now, right? Also, it's going to be costly. We already have this building in Atlanta. We also have facilities in San Diego. opening in Miami at the end of the month. Brothers are supposed to be secure in Sakari, Mexico. So we have different facilities around the country and abroad that we can use at no additional cost. And we're not going to have to charge anybody to come see this. Instead, he's like, nah, let's do it at a neutral ground, and we're going to charge people, and that's going to pay for the building. Why do we need to charge people to pay for a building when we already have a building? Doesn't even make any sense. But it's clear everything that is dealing with this brother has something to do with getting your money. There's nothing wrong with coming in, of course, dealing economically in the community, of course. But everything, see, us, as far as our teachings go, those are free and dispensed abroad to everyone for free on YouTube, day in and day out, week in and week out, have been for years. Our information, we don't put a ticket on. We give our information out for free. We selling clothes or music or whatever, that's something else. But as far as the teachings, that's dispensed for free through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. This dude, we got to go buy the DVD. Then we got to go buy the book. Now we got to pay for the debate. When all he has to do is come here to our facilities. We're not going to have any problems or restrictions like dealing with COVID. We're not going to have to shell out any additional money, and we're not going to have to charge no damn body, right? If we do the debate at our facilities. He now wants to repackage it, but here's the problem. You do not even have enough status in this community to come in and start making demands. You refuse. We first gave you the opportunity to debate us live, right? Be like this on StreamYard. You don't want to do that. You request an in-person. Okay, we'll take an in-person, but since we've gone with your request to do it in person, we're going to have the request in the facilities in the place where it's going to be. You don't get to just dictate everything that's going on. That's not happening. You, again, your weight is not even up enough. You have not put in a substantial amount of work here to even list demands, period. You came out with a DVD a year ago. What the hell does that mean? What about the individuals that are in the trenches week in and week out and have been for years dealing with our people on the ground level and teaching them the truth, calling them to repentance, and the high success rate we have through the Spirit of the Most High in doing so? All right? So you don't get to come in and start dictating the damn thing, frankly, right? You want to do it in person? Cool, at our facilities. That's how things are going to go. Right? Go ahead, Salakia.
Yeah, and not only that, so I didn't know he responded that by Instagram. So I hit his email, the Hebrews to Negroes email. I hit the email. I said, okay, let's do it in person at our school in Atlanta. He responds back. He says, no, let's do it neutral ground. We'll get a building. We're gonna charge people. And don't forget, if I win, this is how you also know when a nigga's scared too. A nigga be talking too much. He said, you got to think about what's at stake here. You got to think about how big this is. All the camps will be crushed. All your followers will start following me. They're going to buy my movie. They're going to buy my book. This is what he's saying.
I'm going to pause right there. I want to get a comment from Sister E on this. So, Sister E, he's saying, when you lose the debate, you're going to lose all your followers. You're going to lose all of the money, all this stuff. All your people going to follow me. What's your thoughts on that? Does that not sound like a narcissist?
That does. And that breaks, y'all family, y'all don't realize that breaks my heart, because I used to be a follower. In fact, I talked to Ron. I had Ron Dalton's number, and I've talked to him a couple of times. There was a day that I talked about Hebrews to Negro, and to see this conduct of him, that broke my heart more so than anything, because I said there was a better way of doing this. Are you trying to win souls or win subscribers and make money? What is this about? All of us doing this for free. And the thing is, when you all bless us, we praise the Most High God for it. But when we get this money, guess what? We put it back into whatever thing that we're doing within the community. If it means I got to upgrade something or do something, I'm going to do it for you all. But yet and still, it's not about money. And that breaks my heart. And when y'all, please understand, I'm not coming from a place of hostility. I'm just coming from a place of I'm just as thrown off as you. But one thing people will know, I'm going to stand with my brothers in the discussion. I'm not going to go against Teotw and them. Now, granted, like I said, I had conversations with Ron Dalton and was trying to get him to say, hey, let's not do it like this. And some points I agree, some points I didn't agree. I was just like, let's just talk. But for him to do this, man, I'm just like, I'm taking it, and it's just, man.
So, do I come through okay right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, you coming through.
Okay, so I mean, we see just from that it's all about the money. I mean, he charges the family for everything. You know, my video on Vimeo. You know, pay that money. Let's have a conference and charge the family. This is the awakening, and we supposed to be learning and sharing what we learn with one another. And this guy trying to make dollars, and then he wants to go and pick a fight because it might affect his book sales. I mean, that's what's happening. He's a textbook narcissist, as you saw with Sakari. They basically broke it down, their experience with him, very similar to our experience with him. I mean, something's really off with this guy, as you can see. Some people in the comments said they've already known, they've been knew about this guy. Okay.
So let's continue listening to this, because it was a good conversation between Gorilla Hebrew and what's his name? I think Deacon Sakari or whatever.
I think that's the name. And the crazy thing, family, I was one of the ones that bought the video. I bought the video and watched, I think it was 2.5. I had to break it up into manageable chunks. But I sat and watched the whole video. And y'all know I have always been like, big ups to Ron Dalton, especially back in my Berean days. I used to always talk, but this right here, the man that I'm seeing now that's attacking everybody instead of, and I'm not saying Sakari, I don't know too much about Sakari, but I know that that's just not my cup of tea when it comes to that. But even with that, I mean, I pray for the brothers. There's a way as a community that we should handle ourselves. If Ron is trying to get back into the community like he used to be, you have to build with people. You can't attack them. You can't come at them. If you have ideas, you have thoughts, it ain't like we saying, we don't want to hear what you got to say. We open to hear what people have to say. I respect everybody in there and where they are as far as what they're experts in. Y'all never see me step into some of the stuff that they do because I'm not an expert in that. But the thing is, it's about coming together. And that's what Dante is trying to build. All of us coming together. So again, family, nobody is trying to bash Ron Dalton because, again, I'm a bit taken by this. I'm a bit taken. But the thing is right and wrong is wrong. And we got to call it out.
Yeah, and I just like to say, much thumbs up to Sister E and Minister Dante, because, I mean, through them, we as Teotw, we're learning to build. We're learning to, get along with brothers where we disagree on.
You're breaking up.
Okay. Well, we learn to come together, even though we have differences, and accept us where we do agree and respect one another. Okay. And Sister E and Brother and Minister Dante have been a key to bringing us to that level, So, we're open to Ron. We were open to Ron Dalton having a conversation, but he just wanted to come and fight.
All right. So look, I know some of you all have problems with Sakari and them. I'm not saying they're my best guys either. I'm just saying, listen to what the guys say. Everybody has an opinion and about their interaction with people, and their interaction with Ron Dalton is valid to what we've said, that he's the narcissist.
We can't hear them. I can't hear them.
Yeah, the volume's going down.
The volume's going down?
Yep.
Yeah, we can't hear it.
Okay, hold on one second.
And you trying to turn Hebrews to Negroes into the damn hidden colors.
It sounds like it's coming through headphones to me.
So it sounds good. It sounds good to me.
What's at stake?
Okay, it's better now.
Let me explain something to you. What's at stake? We've been debating people for years. We've been doing this. We are, through our work, we are renowned in Israel as the debaters. That's what we're known as. So you think you're moving us with your E1B1A Bantu pseudoscience? Trust me. Give me 15 minutes with you asking you questions about your whole E1B1A pseudoscience ideology. This dude I just seen a video where he said the majority of Africa is E1B1A Bantu. Number one, the majority of Bantu people don't all have the same Y. and aren't in the same haplogroup. And it's a lot of Bantu that got a Central European haplogroup. I'm talking about millions of them. So what are you talking about? That stuff is so pseudo and nonsense, and we can deal with all of it, right? But guess what? You're going to play by our rules. You want to do it in person? We humbled ourselves to that request. You're going to do it at our house, point blank, period. That's how it's going to work. If not, you're running, you're scared. It is what it is. We don't really care about none of that. There's no think about what's at stake. What do you think you're getting into our heads? We wake up out of bed and debate people who are stronger and have better reputations than you, right? And I'm not saying that as a statement of pride. You're coming with pride, so I'm coming to humble you. You're nobody in this community, right? Period. We be doing you a favor. Period. Right? So you going around on Instagram acting like you taking all the smoke. We've been doing this for years, bro. All right? So if you want to do the debate, we can do it right here in the building that I'm sitting at in Atlanta, Georgia. If not, you're scared. It is what it is. Go ahead, D.
Hey, and I got my ticket. I'll get my ticket right from Seattle to Atlanta. I'll be there live in the flesh. You can pinch me. I'll be in the flesh. The point is that you guys are going to start to see who really has this community's best interests, all right? Not the ones who are after filthy lucre's sake, not the ones who are puffed up with pride, but the ones who actually been riding with this community since day one for the free 99.
That's right. Who dispense information freely, free of charge. When we go into something and we start bringing out all the information and facts and history.
So I'm gonna stop it right there. You all could go listen to it, the full sitting that Sakari, the Guerrilla Hebrew, and Deacon had. Now, here's the thing. Let's not use the red herring type logic, right? Where, we say, well, they agree on the Mexicans being Israel and stuff like that, because Teotw don't believe that, right? All this is to show Ron's Dalton interaction with other people, okay? His interactions, and it's not a tail thing. It's not a tail thing that thinks he's a narcissist or that he's prideful, okay? Sakari also, 2 or more witnesses. But let's get into the whole DNA thing that started all this, because here's the thing. Some of you all want to be DNA experts, but you don't want to read about it. Some of you all just want to sit there and open your mouth and let Ron Dalton shove all that stuff in you, right? You don't want to go and try to understand. And all you're getting, get understanding. So let's get some understanding. And let's use some common sense, okay? Common sense is still good. You don't have to throw it out the window. I'm white. Was my ancestor a free black man? When I was growing up, there were always whispers of black ancestors among my family, my father's family, but no one would ever discuss it openly. I grew up across the country from that side of the family, so the question never seemed very important. Now all the family members that might have had some answers are deceased. My brother had his DNA analyzed by Ancestry.com in 2008. His paternal haplogroup is E1B1A. Our family name is Wallace. I haven't been able to trace our Wallace family tree back any further than our 4th great-grandfather, John Wallace, who was born before 1785. He was listed in the 1840 census as a free colored person, along with sons John and Noah. The latter is our 3rd great-grandfather. These 3 people were the only ones in Milltown Township, Richland County, Ohio, who were listed as colored. The senior John Wallace wasn't found in the 1850 census, but the sons Noah and John Wallace were listed as white in that and all the subsequent census until they died, as were all of their descendants. Noah was born in 1813 in Delaware and John in 1805 in Maryland. They both married Bowser's sisters, I am presuming, and most likely in Maryland in 1833 and 1828, respectively. 23andMe has given me racial admixture test results of 2.3% sub-Saharan African, and 97.5% European composition. When I worked that backward, I believe Noah had to have had 75% African ancestry. This scenario seems unusual to me. I would be very interested in a kind of insight that you might have. I would also like to have a reading list to help me understand the history of free colored persons at the beginning of the 19th century. So you all could go read the rest of this. I'm going to have a conversation. So, Minister Teotw, according to this particular guy, he lives his life as a white guy. His I'm assuming autosomal numbers are 97.5% European composition, 2.3% sub-Saharan, but yet his haplogroup is E1B1A. Now, according to Ron Dalton and the line that is a coward, isn't E1B1A supposed to be Israel? Well, what they're going to say is, well, you know, he had black in his family. As you see, they're free colored persons. Yes, they are. But if he's 97.5%, that's more than most of us. If you go test your DNA being African, he's 97.5% European, makes him European. So therefore, according to Ron Dalton and according to the line that is a coward, this guy would have to be an Israelite. Minister Ted.
Now, let me know if I break up. But that shows you the faulty reasoning that they have, which is what we've been trying to show you guys for quite some time now.
You're breaking up.
Okay, well, hopefully it'll adjust, right? But we've been trying to show you guys this problem that they have with this logic about how they use E1B1A. Basically, they're saying anyone with E1B1A is Israel. So by their logic, this 97.5% European is Israel. Now, if you look at it, if you put that in jet match, you're going to see nothing but European, almost 90, you'll see 97.5% Europeans popping up as his match. Pop, 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 right? 97.5% Europeans will be coming up on his result set. Okay. 2.5% will come up as African. But yet they're going to say he Israel because E1B1A is the Israelites. That does not work. Okay. We've been trying to show people these guys are lying. And I say they either they don't know how to learn or they lie to you.
You repeat that again, Minister Teotw, because you broke up at that point.
I said either they don't know how to learn and they have a problem with understanding, or they purposely lie to you. Okay, this story right here shows you this guy can't be Israel according to autosomal. Okay, but yet according to their logic, he's an Israelite, even though E1B1A is on one single chromosome, which is the Y. You got 23 total chromosomal pairs, and yet they're going to say this one change on this one chromosome makes you Israel. But this guy has 97.5% European. I mean, do people think we making this up because we G, or can you see the evidence right there? It just doesn't make sense. We showed you guys our autosomal. It looks like Sister E's. It looks like Pastor Kelly's. It looks like Pastor Major's. Okay. Autosomal is how you convict. Autosomal is also how you make a man pay child support. I don't know why this is a big deal. Obviously, one change on a Y chromosome can't prove much at all.
Sister E, any comment? Sister E? You still there, Sister E?
Well, she may have moved off. Okay. But another thing, you could show that article about why you shouldn't use identify who you are. Now, this guy who Minister Yacob is going to show you, he is a biochemist with a master's degree. Okay. And he tells you you can't.
You're breaking up, Minister Teotw.
Can't use haplogroup, but Ron Dalton and the coward kid will tell you he's wrong. Okay, we're showing you what the data says.
So I'm gonna share this with you all. Did you want me to show this first before Ramses?
Yeah. Just read that for me since I'm having mic problems.
Okay. Okay, so please ignore mtDNA and Y chromosomal haplogroups. Sister E, you there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in the sticks right now. So, but the
Oh,
only
okay.
thing, what I was saying is, again, I'm looking at the source, of how we're here, and it started with one man, and that was Lion of Truth. He said he was black, but I'm beginning to look at it differently because he is creating a lot of discord. Now, Ron Dalton, we already know how he's dealing. But yet and still, what I'm just trying to figure out where this dude came from. And he going from channel to channel, create problems. I don't understand this. And ultimately that's why I was like, I want to, talk to Ron Dalton. Because I want to tell the brother, you know what, stop. Let's talk. Because again, everybody's putting in great work for the community, but this right here, I just can't. I don't understand.
So look, this woman Jacqueline say I'm in the flesh because I just talked about haplogroup and E1B1A. This is the talk. So am I supposed to be praying, or are we talking about science? Are we talking about how to get along with fellow man? I mean, some of these people got issues, right? But anyway, but go ahead. I'm sorry, Sis D.
No, I think people just have to understand that when sometimes you have to address things. And when you've tried to address things privately and the person turns around and still does however they want to do, you have to address it the way they've addressed it. It was totally out of order. Again, we're about building. And after this, I want us to continue building amongst each other. But I just don't want the family misdirected. And I think a lot of people were saying, well, Ron Dalton said he tried to reach out. No, Ron Dalton reached out to me. And I told him, let's come together and talk privately. He put stipulations out there where I need to see their face. That wasn't genuine. It was just, I'm just doing something for the sake of doing it. And I understood. I said, well, you can't see. I said, you know what? I said, I don't have to see their face. He said, well, do you know how they look? I said, yeah, I know how they look. End of discussion. And if you got a question, if they black, they black. I know they black. But that's not even a discussion point. That's just like me and you having a conversation. I'm not going to see your face. It doesn't mean we ain't got no conversation going.
So I want to respond to this. I don't get that, I guess, what Ron was saying. They say Teotw is Israel. They just have Y chromosomes of some farther away in the past. The Most High gave you 3 generations before he determined your ISR. Okay, now you must see this is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem. You don't know what you're talking about, because I know what Ron said, that the G comes from a white boy, which I don't care if it did, right? The problem is you got to deal with sample sizes, right? Do you know what the sample sizes of most of these people are? Look, we haven't even gotten into some of the other stuff, right? The other thing is this, okay? If you go and read what the writings and the white papers and the studies and the lab results say about the G haplogroup, the studies show, look, remember when the guy said, well, Minister Yacoba, you're wrong because you showed the wrong map and it had J. That's really J in the Levant. But, and I said it was G. I told him what I found was G, right? That same map that he had was G, right? Now he said it was J. I say they changed it. I'm going to show you somebody else who said they changed stuff, right? But my point being is this. If you understand what they say about G and how G is 200,000 years ago, some say 60, some say it's 80,000 years ago, coming out of Africa into the Levant, okay? You got to understand, there were no white folks until 8,000 years ago. So whoever it was a person of color, whether he black or whatever. The problem you all don't seem to understand, because you don't want to learn, is that all haplogroups is dealing with is a common ancestor distribution within the land. A common ancestor and the distribution of those descendants in that land. That don't mean they're white. And you know what else? You don't know? You don't know that the majority of the samples that they compare against is for white folks. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Let me calm down. I get frustrated because some people don't want to learn. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just your Cobra being your Cobra, y'all. I'm sorry. But let us continue. I'm sorry, y'all. I really am, y'all. I just, it's like I say, I got up there and I prepared a good meal for y'all, and y'all don't even want to look and eat and look at the ingredients. Y'all don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about all of y'all, but some of y'all don't want to learn. See, Teotw Ministries is about truth, right? We spend time trying to understand. Some of y'all just want to take whatever people feed you. You want to take the high level view of things. Y'all like the people who suck a bottle all the time with the scriptures.
Well, you have to ask questions, family, and that's what we do. We've been trained to ask questions because in our field, you can't produce anything without having the answers, right? So when things don't line up, we have to go back and say, hey, this doesn't make sense. Why are you doing it this way? Because it'll work better this way. Things like that. We break things down to the minute detail. Okay. And they're not trained to do that. Okay. So this is why they get upset with us. So like when I first started looking at haplogroup years ago, that doctor that everybody talks about, the one that's not a biochemist who talks about E1B1A, I asked him the same questions, and I was a person seeking answers. I asked him one question. I got blocked immediately. I also went to this white woman who's known to be an expert in America, supposedly, and on Facebook. I asked her the same question, just trying to get understanding. She called me a racist and blocked me. I'm like, how am I a racist? Because I'm asking you about the black haplogroup and what you teach. Okay. They are scared of people digging deeper and showing the flaws that exist in this haplogroup stuff. Okay. And a lot of these companies, right, they milk you guys to pay that $200 extra to get your haplogroup when it's all just theory anyway.
And you know what else, family? Look, we do this for you all. We're not learning about genetics for us. I don't care because the scriptures is what matters to me, right? That's all I care about. But what we do is we do this for you all so that you can have understanding, so you can learn, right? So that when people say, well, black folks not Israel, and because here's the thing, when you go talk to them about haplogroups, they're going to come with these papers. They're going to come and challenge your position on haplogroups. And when they bring in a white guy who's 97.5% in E1B1A, how are you going to answer that? See, we do this for you. We don't care. We really don't care. But here's the problem. If you write a book and all of your books are based upon DNA and haplogroups and phylogeology, then guess what? I got to stick with it. I can't go rewrite my book. Teotw Ministries is destroying my books. Teotw Ministries is destroying my books because my books has, 80-something% dealing with DNA and haplogroups. So I got to go against them because I'd have to rewrite all my books that I'm trying to sell. I'd have to redo all my videos. You don't think that's a valid reason that he's pushing like this? Because people challenging him. People are challenging him on his haplogroups, and he don't have an answer. And all he's dealing with is showing you the distribution of the haplogroups. That's all he's doing. He's saying, see, in this area, all of this is E1B1A. All these people in this area, they're E1B1A, but there's no context.
And notice though, they will never address issues like, say, in this letter here that Minister Yacoba has open, or like, other things that we shared about what can happen with a haplogroup. Like we're going to show you Brother Lawrence, who had 3 different haplogroups. Okay. They don't address those things, but yet they're telling us they are the experts. You should hold their feet to fire and make them what they're saying. Don't take it verbatim. Don't say it as verbatim. Improve what they're saying.
So as Minister Teotw was saying, you need to make them prove what they're saying. Okay, don't just show me a map with the distribution of these particular chromosomes in these particular people. Don't just show me that, right? What does it mean? You got to ask yourself, what does it mean? I'm telling you, look, I don't try to be mean, family, but some of y'all, I'm sorry, y'all got to get your educational level up. I'm sorry, because y'all don't ask no questions.
But you got to understand too, the European community, they don't think you Israel. So where's this source? Where's this information coming from that validates that E1B1A even has anything to do with Israel? Because other people can come and say that's Ham. Other people can come and say that's Esau. Where, if they're not bringing receipts, family, they shouldn't even be teaching this, right? They're making an assumption. They say, well, okay, everybody on the West Coast is Israel, and they all have E1B1A, which is not true, because based on the sample sizes, if you look at the sample sizes they use to in West Africa, it's not even 1% of the population. Okay, but they're gonna,
the samples are white folks. That's why most of the genomes is white. But go ahead.
I'm not even talking about the genome test. I'm talking about when they sample West Africa. It is not even 1%. But they're gonna tell you the majority of people on the West Coast is E1B1A, so that makes them Israel. No, back up your statement, bring the evidence, show me the sample sizes, and then we could talk. Okay, but they're not gonna do that because there's over 1 billion people in Africa and hundreds of million in West Africa, and they all don't have E1B1A. But this is what they're telling you. You got to ask questions. Don't let these guys just spoon feed you.
So I'm gonna read this, Minister Teotw.
And I got something to say.
Go ahead, Sister. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Am I breaking up?
No, you fine.
Right, so I want to address the dove. Because the dove keeps saying that you're being corrected and you can't handle the correction. It's not about a correction, because even when you look at Ron is human and he's up for error as well. We can't put anybody in the place of a God that he knows everything. The point is this: it's character and integrity and how you handle situations. This conversation we all have in live, this could have been done privately. And we could have collectively come together. So if you want to say he's correct, that's fine. Ain't nobody knocking him. At the end of the day, like I said, I used to follow Ron Dalton. But my thing is this: it's character and integrity that I have a problem with. And when you do things like the way you're doing it, you're leaving the great opportunity. What I'm looking at, this could have been a great bill. And we could have all worked together. But because one person decided to say, I'm going to do it this way or no way, it ended there. It ended the whole conversation.
Well, for Minister Yacob and I, okay. Yeah, for Minister Yacob and I, Deuteronomy 28 is the evidence of who Israel is according to the scriptures. That's what we go by.
Yep.
Okay. So we don't care G, E, whatever. But like Minister Yacob said, we're doing this for you all because people have come to us and say, look, what about this, Minister Yacob? Like Aura-1. The whole Chad tribe in Africa is Aura-1. But yet people like the kid who swallowed a cow and Ron Dalton, they'll say that that's a European haplogroup. But that Aura-1 originated in Africa. And if you look at these experts, the majority of the haplogroups that we're looking at, even the European ones, originated in Africa. So, people are misteaching you, or they don't understand being taught. The experts, they can't interpret the language.
You're breaking up. Okay, so I'm gonna read this, but look, I want to say this. Look, I don't care if you believe us. I don't care if you believe Ron Dalton. If you believe Ron Dalton, that's your prerogative. Okay. One thing I do know is that you don't do your research. That's all I know. I do my research. You can say what you want. You can say tail hating or whatever you want to say. You just don't do your research. Ain't nobody brought no receipts other than showing you some distribution of some chromosomes. That's it. But anyway, this is a public service announcement. If you are a user of direct-to-consumer personal genomic services, please do not pay any attention to your mtDNA and Y chromosomal haplogroups. Why? Because they hardly tell you anything about your individual ancestry. What do I mean by this? Your mtDNA comes down from your mother's mother. And similarly, for your Y chromosomal lineage, if you are a male. These few individuals are not only more likely to contribute to your ancestry than all those multitudes and multitudes who do not contribute to your MT or Y lineages, also known as almost all your ancestors. What you should pay attention to are your autosomal results, inferences made from most of your genome. These results may be more difficult to parse, but difficulty is no sin. And elegant ease is no virtue in this case. That's because you are interested in your ancestry, not a convenient, interpretable story. Of course, I am not saying that mtDNA and Y chromosomal haplogroups are useless. They are useful for population scale phylogeography. But please don't make inferences about yourself from one data point, at least in most cases. Isn't this not what Minister Teotw has been telling you? I want to show you something because a lot of y'all want to ignore things, right? You see things and you ignore it. It doesn't register in your head, right?
Well, let me say this too. Please use that letter, that article right there. Make Ron Dalton and the kid that swallowed a pig answer that article. Right? That's from a biochemist. Make them and
You're breaking up.
Make Ron and that kid address that statement right there, okay? From a professional biochemist. So don't let them off the hook.
You need to ask yourself, what is phylogeography? Phylogeography is the study of the historical processes that may be responsible for the contemporary geographic distributions of individuals. This is accomplished by considering the geographic distribution of individuals in light of genetics, particularly population genetics. Thank you, Melinda, for the gift. So what does that even mean? What does it mean? See, y'all like to move on. Y'all like to move on. Phylogeology is the study what? Of the historical processes that may be responsible for the contemporary geographic distributions of individuals. This is accomplished by considering the geographic distribution of individuals. What does that even mean? You know what that means? That means that haplogroups that you're looking at is really being used for migration patterns. That's what it means.
And we said that day one in our very first video.
So my point is this, family. Y'all have to get into the mix if you want to understand. Look, here's the problem. I'm going to tell you. The problem is some of y'all don't like us. Some of y'all don't like Teotw. So if Ron Dalton goes and presents something, you're going to eat it up because, ooh, look, we finally proved Teotw wrong. Ooh, see, they don't know everything anyway, which is fine. I don't care. Like I said, go eat off of Ron's plate. I don't care. If you want to eat some lies or you want to eat partial truths, if you want to be deceived, then go ahead. I told you, Teotw Ministries is a truth channel. But let's go ahead. We're going to go to something else. We're going to go to one of our brothers, and you all saw his testimony, but listen to it carefully. Listen to it carefully.
You know, I'm looking to get E1B1A like everybody else, but mine came back A1A. I'm thinking like, oh man. I said, now why am I hearing A1A when everybody else is E1B1A? So then I said, okay, well, you know, I'll do another one. This time it came back B. I'm thinking like haplogroup B. I'm thinking like, well, maybe this is a mistake. So I even emailed them, you know, hey, you made a mistake. I should be E1 or in the E. And she said, no. And I said, I'm through dealing with you on this. So I went and tried National Geographic on this. So then they ended up putting me in the R1, B1, V88. I'm thinking like, what is this about? And I said, you know, I'm thinking like, why am I not in these haplogroups? So I began to study on them a little bit. And as I began to study, I ran across Teotw Ministries. And this is what I want to say a special shout out to Teotw Ministries because y'all blessed me with this right here, with this study about DNA, because I did not understand DNA and what it really meant and which one to go by. With what you're teaching, you enlightened me to let me know that, you know, that haplogroups are just markers, genetic markers are basically, you know, your haplotype forms a haplogroup. So you may have different features, but you can still be from the same family. We see it all the time. Well, one brother may look one way and another brother look this way, but they may have different haplotypes, but they're still in the same haplogroup. But you know, but it just blessed me. So as I listened to the teaching, I said, okay, that's awesome. You know, so maybe I am a Hebrew, but I still felt a little uneasy about it because of what was going on and the way things have been taught to me. And you know, so I'm thinking like, okay, you know, I'm an haplogroup A1, B, you know, and so I began to do some research. So I pulled up one day, I typed in R1B, V88, you know, Levites or Hebrews, and then what happened was I guess the Google site or the Wikipedia site turned up R1B, V88, sons of Levi, and as I pulled it up, or sons of Aaron. And then I pulled it up. It had an article saying that the Chadic people were actually from the line of Aaron or Moses. I don't remember exactly. I'm going to say it like that. And they were Levites, and then that they were part of this haplogroup. And I started thinking like, well, you know, they got me in these different haplogroups, so maybe there's something to this. But then what the weird thing was, once I began to look it up, and I said, okay, maybe this is true. So I said I did it. I looked it up a few times, even saved a few articles. Then I came back a little while later, about a couple of weeks later, to pull that same article up, and they had a block on it saying that you had to be invited in. And this is where I wanted to say that a lot of times these people know who you are, but they don't want to share it with you, because this page was actually based from the Catholic Church, or a Catholic priest wrote this stuff. So they know who we are, but they don't want you to know. And they're given tidbits of information because the awakening can't be stopped. But I actually believe they know which tribes are where and which one people are which groups and whatever. They may have a good idea about you according to your DNA. So as I begin to look at this, I'm looking like, okay, why am I being blocked from entry to this page now? So I said, okay. So I called my daughter. I said, baby, I want you to go back and, you know, get the information about our grandfather. So she went back to try to get information about our grandfather. And guess what? When she got it from the Mormon church, she tried to go find the information again. It just magically disappeared. It wasn't there anymore. Yet she did a whole research paper. I wish she would have saved it so I could, you know, show you guys online. And all of a sudden she can't find it. So it further goes, you know, that you know, the conspiracy to keep us from knowing who we are.
So remember, family, remember when I showed you that image and I had G and they said G was in a Levant, and then the lion that is a coward, you know, said, no, it was J. See, right? He went, look, it's J. Jacobo was wrong. Now, our brother here goes to show you right here that they went and changed the results of what he had before. They went and changed the information about his grandfather. His daughter did a paper on it. And when he went back, he couldn't even get into it. And then once they were able to get into it, the information was gone. And I told you what I found. And I showed you other supporting documentation that says that G came from the Levant. I've showed you. But see, some of y'all don't want to listen, right? Y'all want to say we're wrong. Why? Because Mr. Ron Dalton wrote a book. Mr. Ron Dalton got DVDs. I'm giving you receipts. All he does is give you supposition from some high-level distribution group. Any comments, Minister Teotw?
Not at this time.
So our brother here, he didn't prove. Right? What? They gave him a haplogroup of what? A. They gave him a haplogroup of B. They gave him a haplogroup of R1, whatever, V something. I don't remember what it is. R1B, V something, whatever he said. 3 different haplogroups. But y'all going to use haplogroups to identify Israel. But we lying. Ron Dalton's telling the truth. Come on now.
So,
who brought the receipts?
Can you share that other article?
Okay. The why different, right? See, we bring receipts. Some of y'all just don't want to listen to what we bring. and sometimes it just goes over your head. Don't fault us.
Don't let these guys talk around you and and dodge the question, because these articles, they need to address the points made in this article. And if these things are a problem, then how can this be evidence of Israel? They don't want to address these points. They dodge it every time, and they start pointing to tribes, and they start, making something up about why E1B1A is Israel, while not even having evidence to prove that it is Israel. How could prove that it's Esau or the Hamites? What is your evidence? You just made that up. Oh, well, the majority of people in West Africa are E1B1A. Well, the sample sizes are too small to prove that.
Thank you. All right, so here, why different haplogroup results? This question often comes up when people test with different vendors and receive different haplogroup results for both Y and mitochondrial DNA. Thank you for the gift, AJ. If you need a quick refresher on who carries which types of DNA, read 4 Kinds of DNA for Genetic Genealogy. You're the same person, right? So why would you receive different answers from different testing companies, and which answer is actually right? Remember our brother I showed you in the video just here? He had 3 different haplogroups. The answer is pretty straightforward conceptually, having to do with how vendors test and interpret your data. Different companies test different pieces of your DNA depending on the type of the chip the company is using for testing, the way they have programmed the chip, the version of the reference tree they are using to assign haplogroups. Now that one is very important. The level they have decoded to report. Therefore, their haplogroups reported may vary, and some may be more exact than others. Occasionally, a vendor outside the major testers is simply wrong. What did he say? Sometimes the vendor outside of a major tester is just wrong. Not all tests are created equal. All haplogroups carry interesting information and can be at least somewhat genealogically useful. For example, haplogroups alone can tell you if your direct line DNA, paternal or maternal, is probably European, Asian, African, and Native American. Note the word probably. This too may be subject to interpretation. And notice they're talking about continents and not people groups. A basic haplogroup can rule out a genealogical match through a specific branch, but cannot confirm a genealogical match. You need to compare specific DNA locations, not provided with haplogroup testing alone for genealogical matching. Plus, you'll need to add genealogical records where possible. Let's look at 2 examples. Minister Teotw, you wanted me to go through all this?
No, that's enough.
So, Minister Teotw, can you explain to them what this was saying?
That to reconnect. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Try it again.
Yeah, my connection dropped and I had to reconnect. So I'm having packet loss, family. But basically, there are many issues as to why you can have different haplogroup results. Some of it is that the machines are different than the ones tested by another company. So one company's machine produces results than a machine used by another group. Interpretation of the scientists can be incorrect. So they tell you right there that it required part of identifying your haplogroup requires some professional interpretation of the results, and that right. So a few other ones in that list as well.
So one last thing. So we already talked about, and I'm not going to show the thing, but we already talked about how Ramses III had E1B1A. Once again, you have to use your capessa, your brain. If Ramses III had E1B1A, the logical answer isn't that he's an Israelite, because we know that they inherited all of this, the kingship from a strong line of kings and queens, right? So that's not the answer. The answer is that haplogroups just shows a common ancestor somewhere. It also can show you where these people lived. Okay? Come on, y'all. Y'all got to do better. I'm talking about you all that don't want to think. The ones who want to just eat off of Ron Dalton's plate. Ron Dalton don't bring nothing but supposition and speculation and his own ideas with his own ego. Now, I want to show you one last thing. Well, two things, but I want to read something to you. The Human Genome Project was an international scientific research project with the goal of determining the base pairs that make up human DNA and of identifying and mapping all of
You're
the
not
genes.
sharing that article if you
Not
intended.
yet. No.
All right.
And identifying and mapping all of the genes of the human genome from both a physical and functional standpoint. So I want to let you know what a human genome is, right? This was the whole project for mapping DNA and all of these type of things. Now, here's what you need to understand, that the whole study of genetics and the mapping of the genome and all these things is still not perfect. And I'm going to show you why. Okay. So one of the issues that people should always ask themselves, especially as Minister Teotw said, when dealing with haplogroups is, how big is the sample size? Have you all taken statistics? In school, if you okay, have you all taken statistics, family? Anybody? If you had, put a 1. Can y'all hear me? You hear me, Minister Teotw?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So if you've taken statistics, put a 1. You all know that when you take statistics, it's very important what the sample size is. Very important. Same thing when it dealing with haplogroups. So if you take a smaller sample, your results are going to be skewed. The bigger the sample size, the better the results. So when you look at Y, for instance, I'm going to give you an example of G. Why G is so rare is because the guys haven't done the sampling like they should. It's very small sample size. In South Africa, when they went and tested for the G, guess how many they tested in South Africa for G? 8 people. 8 people. I'm trying to help y'all. But look, just because you love Ron Dalton, go ahead. Go ahead. The problem is we do our homework and we're going to hold his feet to the fire, even if y'all not.
Not only are we doing our homework, we're not charging you for the information, right? We're putting in a lot of time, research, getting sources, find primary sources, and bring it back to you, charge you a dime. Ron Dalton, nothing without charging you guys.
And that's a good point. So family, are we charging you to learn about DNA? That's not even what this ministry is about. This ministry is about the Bible. It's about Israel. It's about the Most High Yah. It's about us returning to our God. It's about the second Exodus. Do we charge you for that? Oh, but guess what? We helping you out with genetics because a lot of people want to know about where they come from, what people they belong to. Have we charged you a dime for any of that, family? I just want to know. Have we charged you for some books? Have we charged you for some DVDs? Have we charged you to come to a conference, or was it all free? I just want to know who got an agenda here. But let me continue. Let me continue, family, because we're winding down. Now, I need you, family, to think, right? I need you to try to understand, right, what's being said. And as I mentioned before, we don't have to do this. We do this because we love y'all. I told you, we don't want y'all deceived. That's the only reason, because we love our God. We love the Most High Yah. We don't want y'all deceived. We had enough of that. Why you think I went into the teachings about the Catholic Church and the Inquisition about what they did to us? Because nobody telling you that. Same thing here, family. It's up to you if you want to be deceived. That's up to you. You're not going to have no excuse, though, because we giving you the information. It's up to you to go determine whether or not it's so. It's up to you to be like the Bereans. But let's talk about the 300 million letters of DNA that are missing from the human genome. The world's most famous genetic tool has major diversity problems. In March 1997, a man answered an ad in the Buffalo News. He agreed to get 50 milliliters of blood. He did not leave a name, as the researchers who took his blood wanted to keep things anonymous. They called him RP11. The ad RP11 answered turned out to be for the Human Genome Project. And it happened that as the race to complete the first human genome heated up, it was RP11's sample that was ready to be sequenced first. Ultimately, 70% of the Human Genome Project's DNA came from RP11. Listen, 70% of the Human Genome Project's DNA came from RP11. The rest came from about 50 other volunteers. Since then, that first human genome has been continually refined. It's become a reference genome, so it's a base class. That's what we would call it. It's the base genome. The standard against which practically every human whose DNA has been sequenced is compared. See, this is why we tell you a lot of this is similar to what we do, right? We deal with classes, we deal with objects and relationships, we deal with polymorphism and how classes can change into other class and carry over properties and attributes from the previous class. A lot of this is what we do. It just happened to deal with different data points. Okay, so let's continue. But most of it still comes from RP11. Every person's genetic code is unique. So using just one reference genome, most of it from one person, to stand in for all of humanity has introduced subtle biases into genetics research. So there's biases in genetic research. The new study of DNA from people of African descent shows just how much of the reference genome is missing. Scientists found across the 910 people in their study 300 million letters of DNA that are not in the reference genome. Some of these newfound segments of DNA could represent new genes that were previously overlooked. Now, I want to emphasize, family, this doesn't have to do with haplogroups. This is dealing with the genome. Africans collectively are far more genetically diverse than people in other parts of the world, so their DNA is especially likely to differ from the reference genome. Currently, DNA sequences work by chopping up a genome into segments that are individually read and then assembled like a jigsaw puzzle. Algorithms use the reference genome to tell them where to put each segment. If a new segment pops up, one that doesn't match anything in the reference genome, the algorithms don't know what to do. Usually scientists ignore it. So you wonder why there's only a few of G, right? They do the same thing. They do the same thing. But watch, I just want to show you something. This is to show you that it does not, what it appears like isn't always what it looks like, okay? So we wanted to look at what's in the pieces we're ignoring, says Rachel Sherman, a computational biologist at Johns Hopkins University, who is the lead author of the study. Sherman's advisor, Steven Salzberg, collaborates with researchers studying the genetics of asthma in people of African descent. That study includes people living in West Africa, North Africa, South America, and the Caribbean. It occurred to me we had this very genetically diverse group, says Salzberg. In other words, their research presented an opportunity to study diversity missing from the reference genome. So there was a diversity that was missing in the reference genome. What does that mean? That means that they didn't have enough of black folks in there. Let me continue. Smaller studies have found enough novel DNA sequences that they estimated there are as many as 40 million letters that can appear in the human genome, but are not in the current reference genome. Sherman and Salzberg found nearly 300 million missing letters in 125,715 separate DNA segments, much more than they expected. I thought I must have done something wrong, says Sherman. But when she went back and combed through all of her code, listen to that code, she could not find any errors. See, this is similar to what we do, I'm telling you, at least in terms of understanding. Now, the question is what those 300 million previously overlooked letters of DNA contain. Perhaps they code for novel, interesting mutations related to disease that studies using the reference genome overlook. If you're only comparing against the reference genome, you're never going to find that missing piece, says Tina Graves Lindsay, a geneticist at Washington University of St. Louis. This is especially true in people of African descent, as their high genetic diversity means their DNA is more likely to not match up to the reference genome. Listen to that. People of African descent is not likely to match the reference genome. RP11 scientists later surmised was probably African American himself, but the problem of using one reference genome to represent the whole human population still holds true. Lindsay says she wasn't surprised by the number of new DNA sequences Sherman found, as she and her collaborators are also working to address the gaps in the reference genome. They're assembling reference genomes from a diverse group of people so that scientists can compare against more than just a single current version. The team has sequenced 15 samples so far, including 5 from Africa. It was a very good paper for us to read about. Graves Lindsay says of Sherman's study, it proves what we're doing is really needed, but her work is still constrained by what exists in DNA repositories. For example, she doesn't have a sample to sample from people indigenous to Australia. Since the Human Genome Project began, scientists have slowly realized they underestimated human genetic diversity at the time. You know why? Because they didn't care about Black folks. At the time, they focused on single letter mutations. But it's becoming clear now that the big structural variations, thousands of letters being inserted or deleted or flipped around, are common too, says Deanna Church, a founding member of the Genome Reference Consortium and a scientist at the company's 10 Times Genomics. It's likely comparing 2 copies of a book to look for typos and realizing whole pages are missing from one. Whole pages are missing. The big chunks of DNA that Sherman and Salzberg found missing in the reference genome are likely the product of thousands of insertions and deletions. RP11 has his own unique pattern of them, as do all the other original volunteers for the Human Genome Project, and so does everyone else in the world. So, point being here, family, is that these people have not made it where it's perfect yet, right? The whole Genome Project is still ongoing, right? There's whole sections of letters, as they call them, missing 300 million. Why? Because they did not sample the African Americans. They didn't sample the African Americans.
Well, the Black man in general.
Yeah, the Black man in general, right? Why didn't they sample them? Because they don't care about us because we weren't human. That's why.
So yeah, go ahead.
Now, all of a sudden, they need to sample. Why? They need more information. Why do they need more information? I'm going to tell you why they need more information, because now they got AI. AI needs more information, but that's just my opinion. But when it comes to this, right, you can see that there are biases within this system. And as our brother said in the video, they literally removed information that he had and his daughter put in her project, Minister Teotw.
So basically, family, they try to build a genome definition of mankind. Well, what does mankind look like, right? And they start applying these, what they call those letters, and it was short 300 million, right, from the African American, because they used the guy they call RA11. They used him as their base, okay? And obviously, he's not a Black man, more than likely, and so he's missing 300 million letters to map to the DNA of the human being. So basically, they fail to use the most ancient race, which is the Black people, as the base. Okay, and so we found 300 million from the human genome. Okay, Duh, why he didn't get the
You're
most
breaking up, Minister Teal.
why they didn't get the most ancient race, which is the black man in Africa base. That those 100 million wouldn't be missing. Okay, but this shows you there's a lot of things that are wrong with this whole haplogroup and the genome mapping industry. A lot of this stuff is still theory. They use words like hypothesis when they talk about haplogroups. What's a hypothesis? Hypothesis, family. Okay, we're just trying to show you exactly what we've come across, and it's up to you to, you know, receive it or reject it. But we go by Deuteronomy 28 because that's how the Father said we would identify who Israel is.
And speaking of that, I'm going to share Deuteronomy 28 because, as Minister Teotw said, that's all that really matters, right? Deuteronomy 28, 45 to 46. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. DNA don't matter, family. It don't matter. The Bible matters. The word of Yah matters. Deuteronomy 28 matters. Okay? But what we like to do, we like to talk about things because it's interesting. We like to incorporate science because sometimes science is used to validate who we are. We like to talk about history because sometimes history validates who we are. And one final point that I want to talk about is the whole idea of Jerusalem not being in the Middle East. Now, I understand, you know, that's the next hit piece coming, right? Whereas, as we stated, that's my opinion. I'm doing research. I don't know what Jerusalem is. I don't know if Jerusalem in South Africa. I got other places I'm looking at for Jerusalem. I do not believe the Middle East is it. I do not believe the Middle East fits any of the descriptions of the Promised Land. It does not fit the description of Jerusalem. That's my opinion. And that's what we do at Teotw. We go through, we study, we speculate, we look at some of the historical documents, we look at what other scientists and archaeologists state. Right? I don't disregard the Kalahari. It could be. I'm just doing my research. And so that's what some of us do. We do our research. So when it comes to this, family, we got to make sure that, you know, we do our research. Okay, we got to make sure we do our research. You can't let these narcissists like Ron Dalton come in here and the line that is a coward come in here and try to break us up and cause confusion. Like I said, eat the meat, spit out the bones. But you're not going to call me out and think I'm not going to say nothing. Minister Teotw.
Yeah, family. So what I like to emphasize when guys come back and try to teach, make them address these we share, make them address the points about why you can have problems with haplogroups, okay? And make them prove that E1B1A is Israel, right? Because you can't just say it. That's not scientific. You can't say it. You have to bring receipts. You can't just create a new doctrine. That's what they're doing, right? You can't let them get away with that. Make them bring receipts. Salama.
And finally, family, ask yourself this question as we said in the beginning. What's the motivation? What does Colombo do? Colombo will say, well, what is his motivation? Why did he commit this crime? What is Ron Dalton's motivation going after Sakari and going after Teotw Ministries and others? Why? Because he has books to sell. He has DVDs to sell. And what we're saying is destroying his ability to sell those books. What we're saying is destroying his ability to sell those DVDs. He's put a lot of money in that. Now, I don't teach these things just to hurt the brother. I teach it because I'm teaching what I believe to be true. Now, that's up to him, okay? That's up to him. Now, if you ask what Teotw Ministries' motivation is, Our minister, our motivation. We ain't getting no money from no books. We don't have no DVDs. We ain't selling nothing. So what's our motivation other than to serve the Most High Yah and to help his people understand? Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. The second Exodus, family, is near. Look at the world. Look at it. Look up and lift up your head, because it's coming. It's coming. Look at what's happening in this world, family. As who taught you? I mean, who taught you all this stuff that's happening now? Did we not? I'm just saying. Who you gonna trust? Who you gonna trust? See, we know we got haters out there. We don't care about that, right? We doing the work of the Most High. I love you, Israel. Peace and blessings. Your